Hi, hello, welcome back. I'm Shashi and this is Karisu. So, I practically stopped doing this series already, but then since there's news to be told, things which are happening in our country right now, I just had to do this video again. I know there's not much of us who has the time or the energy to read through all the news to see what's actually going on. So, let me do that on your behalf. What we're going to see today is we have recently been declared a state of emergency, Darurat, as you all know. So what is Darurat? What can we do? What we cannot do? What is the agenda behind this Darurat? And last but not least, the number of cases we have in Malaysia right now, including the death. So without further ado, let's get to it. But before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video and share it with your friends if you think the information here is useful for you. So first of all, the Prime Minister has already announced Darurat after discussing it with the King. And Darurat basically means a state of emergency. In a classical sense, Darurat means nobody's allowed to go out, there's strict military protocol and stuff, but not this time around. Why they use the term Darurat, we don't know yet. Because just the day before that, they announced that another MCO will be enforced and they gave rules and stuff, how far you can go and everything. But what was the need for them to implore another state of emergency the next day immediately after that? So, from the proclamation by the Prime Minister, Darurat will be enforced at 12 midnight today, meaning the 13th of January, until the 1st of August, unless there's a sharp reduction of cases, of COVID cases in our country. So, whichever comes first. So, basically, this Darurat is called a political Darurat, a political state of emergency, which doesn't actually make sense because the only benefit that we get as the Rakyat, as the people from this proclamation of Darurat is that there will be no elections. We can see recently there are a few power-crazed people who wants to have an election regardless of what happens. Some of them can even say you can line up in the mall, you can line up in the shopping complex to buy your food. Daily necessities. Why can't you line up and vote for your particular political party? I mean, logically thinking, how many people do you think will be in a mall at a certain given time? 100, 200, 300? Compare that to a situation where an election is being held, thousands gathering in the same place. And are you sure you can control SOP for all thousand of them? And it doesn't mean just because you social distance yourself, you're not going to get it. If someone sneezed somewhere and the virus is still around that area, you accidentally touched it and accidentally touched your face, you are going to get infected also. So that is just something politicians should not be saying if you're really considerate about the people's safety. So as I said earlier, the only benefit we get is that there will be no election. This is because the parliament will be suspended, meaning there will be no parliamentary meeting, there will be no discussion, there will be no questioning whatever the Prime Minister says. An emergency law can be put in effect without being questioned, and all the power rests in the Prime Minister's hand. Regardless of what the situation is, unless it's an actual disaster, unless it's an actual emergency where foreign countries are invading us or something, I think Parliament should always be enforced because that's the only thing which is guarding our democracy, our right. The reason a state of emergency has been proclaimed very suddenly is because of the sharp rise in cases. As we can read in the news, we can see in Twitter or Facebook, there are cases popping up everywhere, especially recently we heard cases in Miri, cases in Cebu and everything. But if you all recall properly, all the cases were going down already since the MCO was implemented in March. We were curbing the curve very well, we were doing very well, everything was going good. Until certain politicians decided that election in Sabah was more important than what's going on. So the to and fro of the ministers not adhering to proper SOPs, campaigning everywhere, this caused the cases to increase. And who is going to be suffering now? The people. So what are the restrictions during this Darurat? So as the Prime Minister has already informed, it's not a political coup or it's not a military coup or anything. Basically, the only intention, according to him, of this Darurat is to curb the current ongoing pandemic. So the main restrictions being imposed is on our travel, meaning there's no social gathering, there's no crossing state borders, you can travel where you want, but it must be within a 10-kilometer radius, not more than 2 people in a car, and you cannot be eating out, meaning all the food you want to buy, you buy back home, takeaway service only. We understand that a state of emergency has been implemented, but how are the people being taken care of? There has been no announcement of any moratorium for loans people are going to be staying at home without job, and without job there's no income. So what is the government going to do for that? The new Bantuan Perihatin Rakyat, which was announced last month, if I'm not mistaken, even the application is not open yet. So what are the people going to do? What are they going to do for food? As it is, I'm sure you all are very aware, during the previous MCO, a lot of families suffered. There was no income. There was a family who had to live in the car for months. Some good people like Ustad Abid Liu and some other social workers have been going around and helping people out. But isn't this all the government's job? So what new measures have they brought up now so that we can survive through these 8 months of state of emergency? These are the things we all need to think about. So during this state of emergency period, during these 8 months, please follow the SOP. If you see someone who's not following SOP, like if you're in the mall and someone's not wearing their mask, not adhering to social distancing, tell them off. It's okay. Call the security guard and tell them off. Some of them might open their mouth and yell, oh, this is my right and whatnot. No, it's not their right to kill people. It's not their right to spread a disease which is very highly contagious. And on that note, we already have our first case of the highly contagious UK variant of the virus, B117, I think. And it's here in Malaysia already. We don't know how many people have been affected by it, but that strain of virus has already entered Malaysia. So it's our job to protect ourselves. And before I finish, as of Monday, there has already been 138,224 cases in Malaysia, with a total of 555 deaths. And from news, it seems that 3 cabinet members have already tested positive for COVID as well. So I'll finish with that, and tomorrow I'll see what other new updates come along and I'll read it out to you. I'll read out and explain it to you. And if you enjoyed the content, if you think this content is beneficial for you, please do subscribe to the channel. And if you think anyone else would benefit from it, please do share it with your friends, share it on your Facebook page or whatever. As long as a lot of people get to know what's actually going on. What do you think this Darurat is for? Is it really to curb the virus, or is there another agenda? Because the Darurat was miraculously announced one day after the UMNO political party removed their support from Pakatan Nasional. So is this our Prime Minister's measure of holding on to power regardless of not having majority? Comment down your thoughts below, and until the next video, bye bye.